Okay, guys, these are examples of problems 5 through 10, and they deal mainly with inequalities. I tried to group the problems this last week together into topics, and so this is our topic is dealing with inequalities. Remember, inequalities is just a fancy word for greater than, less than, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to. So we talked about first about how to graph an inequality, because if I said, tell me all the numbers greater than 7, I mean, you could still be listing them the day you die. So that's an impossible task. So what we do is we graph them, and we graph them on a number line, and I have 4 examples right here for us to look at. Now, one thing I hope you notice is, the number they start at, it's either what we call an open circle, like right here and right here, or a closed circle like we have here and here. And that's very important to look at, because that decides if you have that equal to or not in your inequality. So if it's an open circle, it's just either going to be a plain greater than or less than. If it's a closed circle, remember it's either going to be greater than, equal to, or less than, equal to. So that helps us. And then the shading also helps us to know which symbol we need. So just a little review of this. So you can use any variable. I'm going to use X. So we're going to say X is, now we have an open circle here, so I know it's going to be one of these two. Now, which one is it? Look at your shading. Your shading is going in this direction, which means it looks like, see how that looks like it's pointing this way? So that means I know I need the greater than symbol. And then where does it start at? It starts at the number 8. So that would be your inequality for that graph or that number line. Okay, here we would do X. Since this has a closed symbol or closed circle, we need to know it's either going to be greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to, because that closed means it's got to have the equal to. So which one of these symbols is it going to be? Again, since my shading is going this way, pointing that way, I know I need that one. And then it starts at the number 8. And that's all you have to do. That's your inequality for that graph or that number line. Okay, here I have an open circle. So since I have an open circle, I know it's either going to be greater than or just less than. So I'm going to do my variable X. Since it's shading this way, and it's like pointing that way, I know I need this symbol. And then it starts at the number 11, so that would be my inequality. Okay, again on this one, I see I have a closed circle, so I know it's either going to be this or this symbol. And I do my X, and since it's shaded this way, I know my symbol needs to be pointing in that direction. So that means I need the less than, equal to, and since it starts at the number 13, there is my inequality. So that's our review of writing inequalities from a graph or from a number line. And then reading inequalities. Now, you're going to have questions like this where it says X is greater than or equal to 18. So if X has got to be greater than, and if you don't know if it's greater than or less than, then go ahead and graph it. That helps. So, okay, so here's 18. So since it has that equal to, you know it has to be filled in. And since your symbol is pointing that way, you know it's got to be going this way, which means numbers bigger, and it keeps going, than 18. So you need a number either 18 or bigger. Look at your choices. Not bigger than 18, not larger than 18, not larger than 18. That one is. So the graphing helps. Again, having that scratch paper out just to do these little things help. Okay, let's look at this example. X is less than 10. Okay, so if I use my graphed it, this is going to be open because it doesn't have the equal to. It's pointing this way, so I need to graph this way. So that means it's going to be numbers smaller. So it cannot be 10, guys. It cannot be 10 because it did not have the equal to. It has to be smaller than 10. And the only number smaller than 10 is 6. And I think graphing like that, doing your number line, really helps you to visually see which one to pick. All right, let's do one more example. So I'm going to start at 20 because that's a 20. I know it's going to be a closed circle because I have the equal to. It's pointing this way, so I'm going to shade it this way. Now, where this one and the one above it is different, up here, I'm talking about this problem right here. Up here, my answer could not be 10 because this was an open circle. But down here, my answer can be 20 because it's a closed circle. So that is my correct answer. It had to be 20 or less, and that's the only number that is 20 or less. But do you see the difference? Why the one on top, it could not be 10 because it did not have that closed circle. But the problem on the bottom had the closed circle, so it could include the 20. All right, then I'm going to give you some situations. And from them, you have to decide what is the best choice. So let's look at this. Ben's mom said he could play outside if the temperature was more than 40 degrees. Which set of temperatures would allow Ben to play outside? If it has to be more than 40, can it be 40? No. It cannot. It's got to be more than 40. So it's got to be bigger than 40. So it's got to be a number bigger than 40. So I know A's out because it can't be 40. I know D's out because it can't be 40. So look at these sets of numbers. This is bigger than 40. Is that bigger than 40? No, it's not. So it's not that one. Is this number larger than 40? Yes. Is this temperature more than 40? Yes. Is this temperature more than 40? Yes. So this would be my correct answer. And on your scrap paper, you might want to write the A, B, C, D choices down and where you can mark through them like this. All right, we've got one more. And notice this one up here, you were picking numbers. Here you have to actually write the inequality, which definitely graphing it or putting it on that number line really helps. So let's look at our situation. Abby's mom said she needs at least 60 minutes of outside activities each day. Which inequality below matches the situation? Now, there's that at least. You guys see that word least and automatically think it's got to be less than 60. But it's not just the word least. It's a phrase, at least. And at least means 60 is the least she is okay with. It could be 60, but it also could be more than 60. But she wants her to spend at least 60 minutes outside. Not less, 60 or more. So if we think about that, we graph it, put it on a number line. We said she wanted her to be outside 60 or more. So 60 is included, so it would have A filled in, and then or more, 60 or more means I've got to go this way. Now, since it has this filled in circle here, I know it's got to have that equal to. So that means it's not A or it's not B. So C and D have the equal to part. Now, it's shaded this direction, pointing that direction. So that means it needs to be C. But that at least does not mean the least amount. That means that's the least amount that mom's okay with. She would be really happy with more, but that's your minimum you can do. All right, so those are our inequality sections, and that's our problems of, what numbers? 5 through 10. And I will do a section on the next bunch.